So traders, if you've been trading, say, less than 5 years, what I'm about to share with you right now could be some of the most powerful things that you've actually learned, actually making progress in the markets. And what I want to share with you is two things. One, I actually spoke to someone on the phone recently, and he's been trading now for almost 5 years. And he just doesn't understand the mistakes he's making that just causing him to do the same thing year after year after year after year after year, month after month. He's doing the same thing now. 5 months later, he continues to think about the markets the same way, trade the markets the same way, and therefore he's continued to go backwards. And now he's fighting with his wife. He's not happy, and he's very, very, very stressed. You can see it in his eyes, and he's being beaten down by these markets big time. And I can understand about this particular gentleman that I was speaking with because I was once there. And that's what I want to share with you in today's video here. Now, the reason why I was speaking to him on the phone was because he applied for my coaching. If you want to get access to my coaching, where I'm coaching you every week about the mindset, about the trade management and trade selection and all the areas that goes into becoming a good trader, that's secondly in the description. Go fill out the application form, guys. And I'll personally call you and we'll have a good chat on the phone. If you're really struggling this year, guys, and you need my coaching. So let's actually get onto the topic at hand now. So one of the things we're talking about here, and I really, really felt for this gentleman here. Now, unfortunately, his ego was so in the way that he wanted to keep doing what he was doing, but he wanted a different result. And he was just so, and I couldn't help this gentleman, right? I couldn't help him. And so what was happening was this. He was... the way that he's trading the markets is a few different ways, and I used to trade this way. I remember when I first started trading the markets, I had this idea of if I can just make enough income from trading, I won't have to work my job anymore. And pretty much I guarantee you a lot of you are there right now. If I can make enough income from trading, I won't have to work anymore, right? And I can then trading can be my job. Wouldn't that be amazing? I could stay at home, I can click the button, I can make a lot of money, and then we go through that. So I personally went down this path for years, probably gone down the same path that a lot of people do right now. You're looking at 5-minute charts, right? You're looking at 2-minute charts. You're looking at these time frames here, and you're sitting in front of the screen for hours and hours and hours and hours, right? Per day, looking for trading opportunities. And what I was always trying to do back then, and I just didn't realize, again, I was new to the market 20 years ago. And I was in this process where I was trading the markets, but I was trading hours and hours and hours on end, right? And the reason why is because I'm sitting in front of the screen. I'm looking at all the futures markets, the foreign exchange markets, gold, silver, looking at 5-minute charts and 2-minute charts, and I'm watching these charts unfold, and then I'm trading these. So when I first started getting involved with the markets, obviously I went down the path that probably a lot of you right now are doing, and I was doing the day trading thing, right? Because my thing about trading was I need to make enough income from this per day, or at least per week, so I can quit my job, because that was the idea, right? Make income from trading. And I didn't realize, but it was so hard and difficult through that process for me. And the reason why was because when I was trading, I was always trading because I was trading those hours. And what ended up happening was when I'm trading all these hours, I didn't really have any type of trading system that I was following, like a trading setup that I was following. I was just trading based off a whim, right? Like I was, and you know what happens, right? When you sit in front of the screen, what was happening for me so many times is that I'd be getting so tired, I'd be getting exhausted, mental fatigue, right? It's just mentally fatiguing. And then you make mistakes and you just don't seem to make any progress, right? You just don't seem to make any progress through trading that way. And it would be year after year after year after year, me trading this way, meaning looking at these time frames, spending hours and hours and hours, it actually led me to completely almost destroying my life. Literally, like I end up getting cancer from that there. because I was spending all my waking hours. I wasn't taking care of my health. I wasn't taking care of my mental health because I just really wanted it, right? And the process of going through that there, I remember even one night that I was staying up all night because I live in Sydney, Australia, and I was staying up all night trading the US market, the US futures market, staying up all night, and I didn't really know what I was doing back then, right? Like I didn't really know what I was doing. Like I bought a lot of courses and I did a lot of seminars and I did a lot of programs and I learned a lot of things about a lot of things, right? But I didn't really know what I was doing there. I learned a lot, but something just wasn't clicking for me. And I remember one night that my wife got up in the morning. I went to bed because I stayed up all night trading the futures markets. And I ended up losing 50% of my trading account in one night. Now, this is going back, over 15 years ago now. And I just cried and I cried and I cried and I cried because I'm like, I want this so bad. Like, I really want this so bad. And I just didn't understand why here I was 5 years down the road. I ended up being $250,000 in debt. I was buying all the programs, I was doing all the courses, I was trying to learn these trading techniques so I can use these techniques to make money. And I was trading lots of hours because I'm trying to take all these trades, and it was complete and utter devastation. Like it was, I was always fighting with my wife. I was always stressed because I financially wasn't doing well. And it was an absolute disaster for pretty much 5 years. And the reason why I bring that up here is because I spoke to a gentleman recently and he's doing the exact same thing. The things that he's doing right now, I spoke to him and this was just a few days ago now. And when I spoke to him, he said that he's trying to make $500 to $900 per day. That's a big mistake. That was the first big mistake that I made, was making a daily goal initially when I first started trading. And I could see he's trading every single day, which is a big mistake, by the way. And I'll talk about why in just a minute. But then secondly, how he's approaching the markets where he's doing that, right? He's spending all these waking hours trading the markets. And because and I understand the process, right? That's why I started this video with, if you've been trading, say, less than 5 years, you're probably going down the same path, right? You're trying to make an income. You're trying to make an income from trading so you can quit your job. The hard thing that I had to come to realize of just blowing up trading accounts, getting in debt, literally having cancer, fighting with my wife, just being complete and utter downhill financially, and just, man, I realized that something was completely wrong here, and I'm like, something's just not right here. Like every year and every month, it's the same thing. And this is when, like for me personally, I actually went and got access to some coaches, like an actual coach who was a trader himself and does really well himself. And I just sort of like, I'm showing him, and then I said, okay, I want to be able to get access to, now I had to invest good money, right? When you get access to top traders, they're expensive, but not really in the result of what you can actually make. Because for me personally, I've invested well over 6 figures into my personal mentor, one of my top mentors anyway. And I do that a lot more per year. You see what I'm saying? So for the last 10 years, I've invested well over 6 figures into my mentor, who I go see. But the result of him, he's helped me now be on the positive side, not by 6 figures per year, but by a lot more than that per year. But when I realized that I needed some proper coaching and guidance, right? Because probably like you guys are probably down the path of, doing the courses and the programs and the trading techniques, and you're learning a lot about a lot, right? You're learning everything about these markets. And I understand you're going through what's called the discovery phase. The discovery phase for me was, I didn't know anything about these. I didn't know what a financial market was. I didn't know what the stock market was. And so I went down this process of years and years and years, just learning a lot about these markets, about what's this thing called a candlestick chart. And then you got the candlestick patterns, and then you got the move, and then what's a moving average, and then you got the different indicators you can choose, and then Elliott waves, and then you got the trading patterns and the reversal patterns, and rising wedges and heads and shoulders and divergences, and you can go down the path of that. You know what I mean? So I was going through what's called the discovery phase. I'm just discovering about these financial markets here. And then after going through the discovery phase of doing a lot of courses, doing a lot of programs, looking at a lot of different trading systems and trading approaches, I realized that I actually needed more hands-on mentoring, more hands-on help to help me through the process, because obviously what I was doing was completely wrong. And this is what I was trying to share with this guy here, but unfortunately his ego is so involved with it that he's going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, and he's going to spend the next 5 years just keep doing that, which means every year he may not be making a lot of money, but he's actually losing a lot of money when including all the brokerage he's using. And so one of the things that I started to realize with my mentor and how people start to do really well when it comes to the actual trading of these markets wasn't more about trading all the time. And if I correct myself, if I add to that, I realize that the successful traders, like really successful traders, they're not trading all the time. Now, the unsuccessful trader, what are they thinking? They're thinking, I need to trade every day so I can make the income every day, right? Because that's what they're trying to do. But you know what happens when you trade most days, right? So especially trading the intraday charts, the 5-minute charts, the 2-minute charts, is so much more harder. Especially when you're doing it, you're sitting in front of the screen for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day, watching the market unfold, looking for trades. That is so much harder than the way I do it right now. Right? The way I do it right now is, I used to trade that way, and it's hard. There's no life. You're always wondering what's happening in the markets, and man, it's difficult, right? It's a difficult process. Your discipline, your patience has to be so much more up there. Now, your discipline, and now, should I say, now going back to this whole process here, is I started to realize when I started getting coaching that the reason why my mentor is a 7-figure trader, meaning he makes more than $1 million a year. In fact, my mentor has made close to $1 million this year already of doing this video, and it's only 3 months into this year. So he's made almost $1 million. I think he's a few $100,000 shy of making $1 million already this year. So that's the type of caliber that I'm going through. And the one thing I started to realize is success leaves clues in these markets. I'm trying to go at these markets, and how I was thinking about these markets, how I was approaching these markets wasn't based off someone who's been doing it for 30 years, more than me, who's obviously doing really well. And I wasn't modeling success. I was just going based off what I thought. And our thinking is actually the thing that stops us. The thought was, I need to sit in front of the screen 4, 5, 6 hours a day. I need to trade every day. I'm looking to make an income every day. And one thing I started to realize was that that's not how the market works. Well, that's not how trading works. Because if you are approaching the markets based off success leaves clues, you will notice all these successful individuals to these markets are pretty amazing at, I would say 90% of the time, of following their trading setup, right? Their trading rules, their trading, what I call trading patterns. Because one thing I realized about the people who do really well at the markets is not that they know what's going to come next. Like, you probably know, right? Like, I do market updates on YouTube, but I don't know what's definitely going to come next. And people who are trying to trade based off what they think, what they hope, what they're fearful of, that's sort of, I always say never trade based off what you think, hope, or fear, because you're trading that way. Instead, one thing I realized about the really successful people, and the thing that's really helped me now to this day, is just what are the type of trading setups that when they come around, there's a good chance, there's a high probability you're going to make a profit off that trade. See the differences from the divergences. One person, who I spoke to just recently, in the last 4 years, he's struggling because he's trading every day, $2,000 profit today, $1,600 loss tomorrow. It's like, it's all this sort of thing, up and down, up and down. And then I realized that the people who do really well out of trading, it's not that they're smart. Like, you think you need to be smart, right? It's not that they got more degrees or anything behind me. In fact, my mentors, one of my mentors anyway, in the trading space, hasn't got a lot of hasn't got a lot of degrees. Like, hasn't got any degrees personally. And I started looking at his trading and what he does. And he said, John, trading is actually really simple, but it's hard to do. He goes, it's simple for me now because through pain, I realized me taking other bullshit trades that don't meet my actual trading setup. If I have a good trading setup, but I'm about to take a trade now that's not my trading setup, I know this is a bullshit trade that I'm going to be losing money. He said, but whenever I have the discipline just to wait for these good setups to come around, that's when I know I'm going to do really well from this. And so he said to me, John, that I don't know definitely what's going to happen. No one does. But I am really, really confident that I'm going to get a very high win-loss ratio on this one type of trading system that I use. Right? Now, there's obviously thousands of different systems out there. The purpose of me saying there is the successful are successful because they're focusing on really one or two type of really main type of setups. For me, it's really only one type of setup that I'm utilizing, right? It's only just one type of trading setup that I use, and then I just flow with that. And so I started to realize that the amateurs of these markets, me at that time, who lose a lot of money, one, there's no system that they're following. They just think, oh well, there's a lot of gray area to their trading. And then I realized if I started to want to even tip myself into the positive side, let alone the 5 figures into 6 figures and the multiple 6 figures and then into the 7 figures where I'm in now. So the whole thing I realized is that if I want any chance of me actually doing well out of these markets, I need to swallow my ego and my pride and actually start to try to be a little bit more on what my mentor's actually doing, because he's obviously doing really well. And that was that we have a trading setup, a trading pattern that we believe in. So you learn the trading setup. You spend hours and hours and hours and hours going back over time, and what I call taking screenshots of the pattern that you look for. The thing for me is I tell all my coaching clients, find the pattern that you look for and go back over time and I've taken probably close to 1,000 screenshots in the last 3 or 4 years. Now 1,000 screenshots, that simply means the pattern, it might be a gold trade. The pattern might have formed on gold. Pattern might have formed on the stock market. So the way that I trade is across all these markets. So one thing I started to realize was, when it comes down to my trading, is that if I actually want to start to do well out of this thing called trading, I've got to stop guessing how to actually get ahead and start modeling someone who's actually doing well. And very fortunate for me is I went and invested really good money with him, and he started to help me think how to think about the markets properly and so on and so forth. And it wasn't until that happened, and then it didn't happen straight away, right? But every single month after that, I slowly started to become just a little bit more disciplined, which simply means this. Even when I'm trading the intraday charts, the 5-minute charts and 2-minute charts, I have my allocated time that I'm going to be trading. Through that allocated time, I'm only going to take a trade that meets this trading setup. Now, if I can do that, then I know at the end of the year, I'm going to have a very good, successful, positive year. The unfortunate thing is my thoughts of, but John, I'm looking to have trades every day so I can make an income today. Having that thinking about the financial markets was the thing that was actually stopping me, because now I'm looking to trade every day. And you know what happens when you trade every day, right? It is a disaster. It is absolutely a disaster. And it's not good. You'll lose a lot of money. I saw someone just recently who applied for my coaching program. He went from $100,000 up to $300,000 because he got lucky. And then now it's down to $10,000. I see these stories all the time. I was one of those stories, meaning when I first started trading. And so when I started to realize that my thinking, my mindset of how I was approaching this wasn't going to get me anywhere near my actual goal. In fact, I was only spinning my wheels. Because if I kept approaching and thinking about the way that I was thinking, I'm trying to make an income today. What if there's no trades today? Well, that's how trading actually is. That's the reality of the thing called the financial markets. Some weeks, there's actually no trades. And that's just the way it is. But if you can handle those weeks, sometimes there might be a whole month with no trades. How do you handle yourself in those times is a massive thing about how patient you are and disciplined waiting for the good setups to come around. Is if you can handle yourself and stop yourself from being impatient and again, stop thinking you're trying to make money today and you're trying to have a successful year, I promise you, this is the fast track to really good income, 6 figures and multiple 6 figures, and then eventually a lot higher than that in the 7-figure range, is understanding that you don't need to trade all the time to make a lot of money. And more trades doesn't equal more income. That was my thinking. That was my approach. That was my strategy. And it was completely wrong. And it was year after year after year. But here's what started to happen. Slowly and surely, it didn't happen initially. Slowly and surely, when I was trading the markets, I started to be okay with not taking a trade today, but having my allocated time at that time, whether it was 3 or 4 hours. And I said, okay, I'm looking at the markets and I'm looking for this one trading pattern today. That's what my mentor told me. He said, John, just look for this one trading pattern today. And so I said, okay, cool. And initially it was hard, right? Because I'm like, I've just spent a whole week looking at these markets and not taking any trades. And so I go to my mentor, blah, 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 and oh my goodness, I'm supposed to make an income from this thing. I'm looking for more trades because I want to make a lot of money. He said, John, more trades doesn't equal more income. Right? Just because you take a lot of trades doesn't mean you're going to make a lot of money. You don't need a lot of trades to make a lot of money. You said if you use things like options and leverage, like a futures market, if you can get just 7 really good trades per year, even if you're starting with $1,000 trade, now that's not a $1,000 account, that's a $1,000 trade. You might have, say, a $5,000 or $10,000 trade, doing a $1,000 trade, but then maybe risking 20% of that. You see what I'm saying through there? Like, I'm just giving you the numbers here. But if you can get just 7 really good trades, starting with a $1,000 trade, and you can get a double, meaning 100% return. Now, as you see, the leverage in futures, like the E-mini futures, foreign exchange, I like to trade options in the stock market, stuff like that. You can actually get that, right? You can get 100%. In fact, it wasn't just a few weeks ago that I got out of a trade using options for 170% return. Not just 100, but 100. But if you look at it, 1 into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8, 8 into 16, 16 into 32, 32 into 64, 64 into 120. 128, sorry to say. So he said, John, you're only 7 good trades away. He said, but what's the reality of this thing? He said, you're only 7 good trades away from doing 6 figures this year. But what are you trying to do? You're trying to make money every day, which is causing you not to make 6 figures. And he goes, but what is the reality of those 7 trades you making 6 figures? He says, how does that actually realistically look throughout the year? He said, 1 month, there might not be no trades. The next month, you might have, a few trades, some nice profits, but you're not going to get those things that's doing 100%, 200%, 300% return. They're small profits. You might have a few small losses in there, realistically. And then maybe the 3rd month comes, and then bam, out of nowhere, there's 3 amazing high quality trades. And they don't just make you 100%, they make you 2, 3, 400% return. And they take off. And then the 4th month, you go back to being quiet again. And there might be 2 or 3 weeks of no trades at all because the trading pattern didn't appear. And so he said, John, yes, the 7 trades on doubles is obviously that's not the reality of trading, right? The reality of trade, he said, I'm trying to give you a template, John, to show you that you're only 7 good trades away, not 7 trades a week from making 6 figures. And so, but he said the reality is, John, what? You might be maybe 15, 20 trades away to be realistic, right? You might take some mistake trades. That's okay. You might take some trades where you manage it the wrong way, right? You're going to have your losses in there. You're going to have your trades that don't do a double. He said, but doesn't it sound more easy to have a trade of doing, have a year of looking at 15, 20 trades only than trying to take 7 trades? And then that's when I started to realize, like, oh, I'm not that many trades of making 6 figures this year. Even if I was doing $1,000 trade for the first trade and then continue to grow it from there. So I'm only about 15 or so trades away from doing that 6 figures this year. All I need to focus on now is what are the type of setups? What's the number one trading setup that if I can be patient throughout the year and it might not come around, that's likely to give me the best chances. And this is where my trading just absolutely just took off. Because then I started being okay, especially like right now in the markets, right now, the volatility of the stock market as I'm doing this recording has been crazy. And I'm seeing the people getting absolutely destroyed right now. Now me, I'm not. I'm very nicely positive, very, very nicely positive for the year. I haven't taken many trades. I think I've only taken about 3 or 4 trades this year in total. But I'm really nicely positive, and I'm actually in a trade right now, and it's actually in positive territory right now. We'll see where that ends up in the next few weeks or so. And so when I started to realize this, okay, cool. Then I switched from intraday trading to the way that I do now and the way that I coach now and the way that I teach now. And I teach, look at the daily charts. We're looking to get into a trade today, and we're looking to hold it for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and we're looking for that 1, 2, 300% potential trade. We're looking for those types of trades because all I need is 7. That's 7 trades to 6 figures. And then it's only 10 trades to $1 million if you're looking to double. Now, obviously, you're not going to keep doing the double. Emotions get involved and so on and so forth. But I'm trying to show you that you're only 10 really good trades from $1 million. Now, realistically, how long would that take? You're probably 30 trades away, not 10 trades away, right? Make mistakes. You might put on too much money at one time where your emotions can't handle that. That's the reality of it. But I'm trying to show you that if you've got a 5-year plan of becoming a millionaire, you're only 10 high quality trades away from doing that. So once I started to understand the mindset frame of these markets, I started to completely shift about how I was approaching these markets and how I was thinking about these markets and how I was trading these markets. And I started being realized, okay, I'm not looking for 7 trades this week. And if there's no trades this month, then that's okay. Because for me personally, I'm only looking for a good 15, 20 good trades per year. And there might be 3 or 4 good trades now. And you see what I'm saying there? Because I know for me to make $1 million per year, right? Even if I was starting at a very low level at a 1,000 trade. Now I'm not there, I trade a lot more. But I know that for me, I'm only about 15, 20 good trades per year, including, yes, we're going to have some losses in there, and yes, not every trade is going to be a double, right? But I'm trying to give you a blanket template of the reason why I trade the way that I trade now, because I spend the last half an hour now, I don't spend 4 or 5, 6 hours looking at the futures markets. That's not me. That's not my trading style. I have now found so much more profit by getting in today and looking for trades to hold on to it for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks and look for that big move that could potentially give me the 100% return, utilizing things like options in the markets and some leverage in the market. Right, and so once I started understanding this template, I do have my losses as well too, right? But once I started understanding this, I'm like, I don't need to actually trade a lot to make a lot of money. I can spend half an hour, and now I've also got scans in my coaching program. Not only do I teach them everything I'm talking right now, but get access to the strategy, the scans, and so on and so forth. And that's the reason why my trading has exploded so much. When you go to Get John's Help, you'll be able to see my equity curve for all of 2024, for that last 1 year, and you'll be able to see what I actually did through 2024. And this year's been an amazing year so far. Not a lot of trades though, right? And so I'm doing this video because I wanted to just share some things about my story and my upbringing and how my thinking and my approach was completely wrong, and it sent me down this massive spiral of just never getting ahead. And it reminded me so much of this gentleman that I spoke to just recently, now 4.5, almost 5 years in the road, and he was doing the exact same thing that I was doing, the biggest mistakes. He's looking at a 5-minute chart thinking if he spends all this time in front of the screens, he's going to make more money. He's looking to trade every day. He has to trade every day because he's looking to make money today. That thinking was the thing that stopped me. Stop trying to, and then when I started to realize I'm not looking to make $500 today. I'm not looking to try to make $2,000 this week. Once I stop putting my pressure on to make $2,000 a week, which is $100,000 a year, by the way, instead of trying to do that, I started just like, okay, sit back. What's the type of trades? What's the type of setups? The patterns? What does it look like? That's likely to make a good move. And once I started to realize that, then now that's what I do now. I focus on those trades only. And yes, again, like I do have my losses and I do have that process, but that's where trading for me is so much more easier now. It's so much more easier now because I'm okay with not taking a trade 1 week, 2 weeks. You know, last year, I remember there was a period of 6 weeks with no trades. 6 weeks. And a lot of people wouldn't be able to handle that. Again, go to Get On Top. You'll be able to see, look at my equity curve for the entire year. Right, and that's that what you see there as a percentage growth on my account for last year, that was on the entire account. And I'm trying to share with you that our thinking, our approach, and us not approaching this and modeling of someone who's how they think, how do they do these things. And so I really wanted to just share some stories with you guys to really help you out, to try to show you maybe something that I've shared with you today is going to start to hit home for you. And once again, for me, it was like, if I actually wanted to start doing more from trading, I have to pull my ego aside and realize that I'm not doing the right thing now. And I need to go to the ground level. Yes, I've learned a lot about these markets, but obviously something's not right. And I need to start approaching this way of how my mentor's doing it, how these people are doing it. And that's the reason why my trading is so successful now. Because it's the right thinking, the right approach, and then I've got a very, very simple, powerful trading system that I use. And that's the reason why my coaching program is so amazing as well too. And the success stories, you'll be able to see the success stories over there as well too, because that's exactly what I do as a coach. Once again, guys, if you resonate with this sort of thing, just fill out the application form, guys, and you and I personally have a good chat, because I do know that if you are struggling with your trading right now, and especially in this environment, I guarantee you, I'm getting so many stories of people just really struggling in this environment. Your mindset is wrong, your thinking is wrong, your trade selection is wrong, everything is completely wrong because you're not approaching this. You're approaching this based off ego and based off a tip from a YouTube video instead of a foundational approach of how you can make money for the rest of your life. So there we go, traders. There's a bit of a story for you guys on this weekend. Hope this really helps you out, guys, and I'll speak to you guys real soon.